everyone, welcome to the third video of today. So I am going to use slightly brighter colors today and changing it up a little bit from the muted color palette. So the main two colors today will be the Lavender and the Cactus flower, both by Daniel Smith. I know that there are other brands that do similar colors to the Lavender. I just happened to buy this a while ago when when it first came out, or soon after. So in terms of the flower to fit the color, I decided to go with sweet pea flowers. And at the minute, again, in my kitchen garden, I planted a few at the back of a bed so that they could climb up the wall, and they are beautiful. They also have this incredible scent. I wish I could have like a shower gel or some bars of soap with it and just smother myself in that scent. It's just so beautiful and intense and sweet. Maybe I wouldn't be okay with it after a while, but it just smells so good when you smell it off the fresh flower. I love cutting them down and putting them in a little vase on the kitchen table, or actually I should do that and put it in my studio just to have that scent while I'm sitting here and painting and editing all these videos every day. So yeah, and the colors that I have in my kitchen garden are actually one color that would be identical is Napthamide Maroon. And so the top of it is like Napthamide Maroon, and then the bottom bit is this purple. So it's a two-color bloom or flower. And I just decided to be inspired by the shape of the flower, but go with my own kind of color scheme. And I really like it. I will use a little bit of that Napthamide Maroon just as accents, but not as the main color. So I decided to do slightly a different composition in terms of adding more of those flowers and make it look like a vine of little blooms about to open. So the big flower is sort of already blossoming and all the petals are nice and big and widely open, and then the little ones are supposed to be still baby flowers where they are about to kind of become big. So that's what I did. The pea flowers are incredibly easy to illustrate. In fact, I didn't even look up any pictures, or I didn't have any reference pictures in front of me. I just remembered from memory what I saw the day before in my kitchen garden, and so that's it. So these, I'm saying kitchen garden, they're not edible, they're flowers, decorative flowers. There are some peas that develop into the actual pot that you can then harvest and eat, but these are just the decoration for decorative purpose, and they look very pretty regardless where you plant them. So here we go. I'm adding that Lavender, which is a gorgeous kind of clean in a way color. When I say clean, it's not muted. It's a pretty color, and if you build it up, it becomes quite opaque because there is white pigment in the composition. If you water it out, it becomes more subtle and more transparent, so you can play around a little bit with it. So now I'm taking that Napthamide Maroon, and I'm going to add it just at the bottom portion of the baby flowers and a little bit into the center of the main flower, because it needed a little bit of breaking up. It needed a little bit more of something deep. In fact, if you look at all of my illustrations, I think there is always the main flower and then the main color of it, but there is always a deeper tone somewhere there, because otherwise it all just looks a little bit flat. So to bring things out and to give an illustration a bit of interest, this is what I like doing. Now, the other thing that gives a lot of interest are these glazes that I have been totally into, and I have kind of Here we go again, kind of. I'll try to keep it minimal, to a minimum with my kind of, but the rediscovery has happened here during this process of this World Watercolour Month with the glazes, because I haven't used the iridescent scarab red as well as the cactus flower in a very long time. In fact, I haven't used both of these small palettes that I created a while ago. So now I'm going into a slightly more vivid green, because with the sweet pea it's just asking for that fresh green color. There is something about pea flowers and the foliage that is very juicy and kind of there we go again, count number 2, and has that almost luminous look to it. I mean, if you look at the greenery, it probably has a little bit of gray, but I always associate sweet pea flowers and the foliage with the pea color, which is beautifully and juicy green and has that vibrancy to it. So to me that's a perfect green to go for, and this is the Daniel Smith Gold Green, so it's a lot more luminous and a lot more greener than the core one, which the core green gold I love to use for a muted color palette, so with darker colors, browns and all of that. Then I am going in with the beloved Derwent Graphitint Meadow color, just to add a little bit of dimension right there, and it adds a great sense of, for a lack of better word, dimension, and I love it. I just love it. There's just something about it where I, of course, could use a darker watercolor to add there and just keep it strictly watercolor. But I think, oh my gosh, look at those swatches. That lavender next to the gold green by Daniel Smith, they just are bouncing off each other. They are like perfect couple, marriage in heaven. Yeah. So I could do that, but I find that the texture from the Derwent Graphitint adds, along with the depth of the color, that sort of textural effect you are not able to achieve with watercolor. So yeah, I love that. I mean, of course you could use a granulating watercolor, something like serpentine green would be good, but again, it's not the same. Let's face it, it's two different products. So I really enjoy the combination of the Derwent Graphitint. I should try maybe incorporating a few more colors. There is one color that springs to mind, but yeah, I'll see. I might use it in one of the next ones. So I'm super happy with this color palette, and it's a color palette that I definitely would want to revisit. Who knows, maybe in the next one or a few down the line, or maybe even much later in something completely different. So it really helps having these little swatches on the side there, so that you know, or if you're doing this with me, that we could refer to at one point and decide to use this color palette in something maybe that's different to flowers, maybe something completely distant from flowers, who knows. But the actual color palette is so pretty. So we have that darkness and depth in Napthamide Maroon, we have that extra iridescence and accents in the cactus flower, that beautiful lavender, and of course the green gold or gold green, juicy green colors. So they all complement each other, they all make a beautiful combination. So what I'm doing here is I'm going back in with Napthamide Maroon. I mentioned this before, that it has the tendency to dry a little bit lighter. So what I want, or what I prefer doing when I want this color to be at its deepest, I basically wait till it's dry and then glaze over it with a very creamy texture, and that will ensure 100% that it will be at its deepest and the color won't shift again at all. So that's what I've done there. And if you saw on the main flower, there is a little bit of that green gold or gold green that has leaked or flown into the lavender, and I actually really love that. So it makes a nice little, I mean, lavender doesn't mix very well with many other colors because it has a white pigment. Generally that's the rule. It makes things a bit milky. However, you know, charging a little bit of color into it might create an interesting effect. So here we go, and over it I added a little bit of cactus flower, and that just looks super pretty. So thanks for watching, and see you tomorrow.